I know you'll barely be able to see this. It's highly visible to me. That tower of light you see is a oil fracking rig at a distance of over 10,000 feet. And as usual, people know I don't script these shows. I want to give a big shout out to all the psychos first before I begin this. I'm going to keep this as short as possible. To all those nut jobs that I've been studying for years. First the black racists on the chat lines, and here recently I keep monitoring a chat line called the Boston Loach, which is full of people that are nothing but on nut checks their whole life. They all live in HUD housing. They're broke. They make up all these fantastic tales that there's some sort of special or wealthy person or something, and they keep saying that I do live in a cargo container. My home was arsoned. I immediately chose to live in something that was fireproof, crush proof, etc. Once you've had to leave your home and let almost everything you own burn, you suddenly gain a whole different perspective. But let me get you oriented a little bit. That well is to the northwest. There's a well almost directly in between me, where I'm standing now, and that well. That's about half the distance. It's 5,000 feet away, but it's diagonal. And the pay zone on that well, which I'm still being paid from, is right there on the edge of this property. Let me come up a little bit. Can I get Mars into the... I can see Mars, but it's not showing on the screen very good. The red planet here in just in a couple of more days. The moon right there will be blood. It will be a blood red moon, and it will be right there. You can't really see it. Mars will be right below it. That'll happen in just a little more than 48 hours or so. But let me capture. I've got to move back a little bit. There's the light. That tower is probably about 150 feet tall. I'm at above mean sea level around 500 feet. It's already down by now. It's down past 9,000 feet, and it's going to have to come 10,000 feet to get up here to the real pay zone and complete and really frack and bring it in. It'll actually increase production in the paying strata. Or at first was the Austin chalk, and what was feeding that chalk was the shale beneath it. There are two horizontal fracks heading towards me right now, towards the top of the hill, because this is the pay zone. What runs, see, you can't even see my finger here. What runs from east to west on my property is a fault line where all the oil has been pooling up for millions of years from the shale into the Austin chalk. There's another oil well in this direction. I can hear it. I'll try to be quiet for a moment here. You can hear the hum. There's Mars again, if you can bring up the brightness on your screen. I'll go back to this rig over here. Now, I want to mention briefly here, and I'll put it in the title so it'll come up. I want to talk about the criminality of the Texas Railroad Commission. It doesn't matter who actually owns the oil, is they always try to give everybody a cut of it. It's always been crooked, and it's been under the name of conservation and other things. They've been like, all of my neighbors have gotten rich off of oil, got it from my property. The well that's paying next to me, I'm actually cut out of that pool right now. And they're using that because the dumbasses that own that property signed for only like a 12th or 16th%. You got to be a dumbass if you accept anything less than a quarter or a third. Really, a third is. But what the Railroad Commission does is under the name of conservation, but also it's so that everybody's happy. Even though the oil is most accessible and is really underneath my feet, I'm still forced to, except on one oil well, my first oil well, I'm forced to share my oil with all my freaking neighbors. And my neighbors that got rich, they got up to my property line, and they deviated, because you can get within 500 feet. Slight deviation brings you onto my property. They all fracked into that fault. I had one neighbor that literally got to steal over $20 or $30 million from me before I was permitted to drill by the totally criminal. And you oil men out there, oil and gas people, know about the Texas Railroad Commission and the thievery and the deviations and stuff, which if I really wanted to fight it in court, I would have spent the last 38 years in court fighting over. It's best to just kind of sometimes take it up the wazoo and go with the flow, and don't waste your life fighting against a system that you can't beat. So that's it for right now. I'm going to keep this at about 6.5 minutes and stuff. It may not look like much, but that's a monumental enterprise. That well has already drilled down 9,000 feet, and now it's going to drill 10,000 feet right to me or more. It's for a total of 19,000 feet in total tubing, and it will be a massive producer, and it will probably boost the production that's still coming out of the Austin Chalk. As a matter of fact, I may be able to unplug and come back and drill on my property again. And there's still, down I know beneath my feet is a salt dome past 12,000 feet. That's worth billions. It holds billions. So I want to give a little shout out there to all you idiots at the Boston Loach with your made up stories that you're some insurance adjuster, when the correct term is claims adjuster. And now you call yourself a whatever, you're some this or that, or when we all know that you're on nut. Few of you admit you're all on fucking nut checks, because you can prove it. I can call in and they're there all day long. They don't have a job. They have no education. They're idiots. They're insane. They keep calling me some broke ass idiot and shit like that. Well, those little blinking lights right there, that's not just some little blinking light. That's not some UFO. That's a fucking massive, huge, horizontal drilling rig. And it'll take months to complete that well, and a couple months more for it to pay off before I start getting paid at the end of the year from that well. And although almost all the oil will be coming from my property, I'll only get a tiny fraction of it. I'll be forced by the criminal Texas Railroad Commission to once again share my oil with all my neighbors. Forced to, under the communistic, conservationist bullshit laws of this country and of this state. All the political bullshit that was started by the oil conservationists of Oklahoma. So, it's a beautiful evening. The moon is near full. Like I said, 2 more nights. Blood moon with Mars right beneath it. It's going to be wonderful. But it'll be even better when those 2 wells, and I won't know because I'm not going to bother my production partners to find out how this pool is being split up, whether I'll get a percentage. Should get a percentage of both of these wells. I may not get a percentage of the third. I got 2 neighbors that blocked the 4th one that was coming in from the northeast. I don't know why, other than to say that they probably voted for Obama. They're probably Democrats. They're probably the only 2 Democrats in a county in which no Democrats hold office. So that's it. 9 minutes and 5 seconds. I'm out.